Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of I Am Legion for Dying Light 1 and 2. My name is Jason, the creator, and first, let me start off this episode by saying thank you guys so much for your support. It's been since February that I've been working pretty much overtime trying to figure out all the code and get everything set up. And I'm getting to a place where it's getting a lot easier to add new content. I'm able to actually get in there and quickly make some of the additions that you guys are asking for. And this next update is something that I've done specifically for you guys. So I know that we're all waiting for the new weapons update. We're all excited for when they add rifles and pistols and shotguns and all the submachine guns and all those things back. Sniper rifle, please, sniper rifle. Back to the game. And to help with that wait, I wanted to continue to look at how can we take back the wasteland? How can we go through and actually start reclaiming these zones? And also, how can we start to create new spaces for bases and building for co-op? And how can we expand the game a little bit more? So this next update, the World Burner update, has just dropped on the Nexus, and it's exciting. So I'm pretty excited for this next update. I spent a lot of time, so I've been sick this week. I apologize for a couple of videos that got released with no voice. Maybe you guys preferred that, let me know. But I've tried to kind of share my progress notes, and I really went in on trying to get these flamethrowers set up so that you guys would actually enjoy them, so it would take something that's already in the game and reinvent it in a new way that made sense. After reviewing the shotgun model that they had in there currently, to be honest, it looks like a makeshift flamethrower. It even has the gauge on the side. So I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. I spent way too much time trying to create custom flame graphics, and so I'm really excited to share with you guys. But first and foremost, again, let me just say thank you guys so much to the community. Thank you for all the new Patreon members on the Patreon support team. Thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate your guys' feedback and your donations and everything that you guys are doing to help shape the community. You guys are giving me so much critical feedback, and I truly appreciate it. Thanks for getting me excited when I wake up in the day and see a new email that I have a new member. It's really exciting to see. It gets me excited to work on the mod. So thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate it. Huge shout out to the members on the Discord board as well. We have a growing community, lots of new members, and thank you guys for getting on there and adding your guys' support, your feedback, letting me know immediately when there's bugs so that we can quickly refine these things and make it better for everyone in the community. So this is a community mod, continue to push forward on this idea that Dying Light can be somewhat closer to what we saw at E3 and continuing to move towards that idea of what would we want, the post-apocalyptic world where we're trying to rebuild as humans, flooded in a city with infected and zombies. What would that look like and how would that feel? So not to be too cheesy there, but continuing to refine those 3 difficulties. Please let me know your feedback on this latest one. So I've gone in and I've redone a lot of the sensing systems, a lot of the detection systems, a lot of the casual balancing versus survivor. Again, that casual version is designed for people that do not want the difficulty of the mod, that necessarily don't want all the new, difficult AI. They just want the new features, the new armor improvements, now the new flamethrower, the different content that the mod provides without getting that difficulty. So if you're looking for that, casual survivor is the way to go, but I will always recommend heading over to the survivor difficulty. It's got the best mix of all the different things that come with the mod. So thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate your support. I'm going to go ahead and start the game up, and let's go ahead and talk about this latest update. So this latest update, 1.2G, I didn't decide to go with the latest and greatest 1.3 because 1.3 is being reserved for something better. So we are just getting started on a lot of new content. I've been working, I just don't have enough hours. There are so many things here that I've been discovering and been exploring, and I have so many notes of things that I would like to see in this game and continuing to refine. So we're just getting getting started, people. Don't think that this is, you know, something that's getting ready to cap off. This is really, truly starting to kick off. And it's exciting. Last week I heard from Techland themselves. So thank you, Techland, for your support and for the shout outs on Twitter. That was a huge morale boost on my side. But then also it's great to hear from you guys personally and for reaching out. I would love to work with your team. I'd love to continue to grow the game. Thank you so much for your support of what I'm trying to do and shouting out to me on Twitter. That was awesome. Thank you guys so much. So I apologize there. The audio probably got a little loud. Let's go ahead and switch over here so that we can actually start to see what new content's in the game. So I'm going to go ahead and load in. So one of the things I've set up, this one's a little bit different from the other updates. So this update, everyone will receive the starter flamethrower. What does that mean? So that means inside your stash, once you get to your first stash, there will be a broken flamethrower. There's a bundle in there that says, thank you for supporting the mod. And again, this is a thank you for all the support that that everybody has done for the mod. This is a thank you. Undo that or open that bundle, you'll find that you have a broken flamethrower and a craft on how to fix it. You'll also have a craft part for or a craftable recipe for creating fuel and other things that you'll need to get started on this latest update. So let's go ahead and head over here to the bag and I'll actually show you what that should look like. Now, hopefully this one has not already used it up. It has. So I apologize. I should have staged my save games first. The reason this stash has so much content is that this is more of the dev menu version of what I see versus what you guys see. If you're a Patreon member, this should look familiar. So right here in the miscellaneous section, you will end up with an icon that is dark orange, that's platinum, that will have this flame icon. When you click on that, that will give you the broken flamethrower. So the broken flamethrower is an awesome flamethrower, but it needs a little bit of love. So basically what I've set up is we now have 5 different flamethrowers in the game, and the starter one is the broken flamethrower. So I've designed this one to where it still works as expected. It will still come to your aid when you need it, so it's considered a tool starting out. So if you're going out on a mission and you need that coverage, what I've tried to do is set up with this flamethrower is to where it will actually, it has a pretty mean kick to it, but those flames will immediately start to incinerate your enemy and also stagger them back. So for example, if you're trying to get through a quest or you have a difficult area that you're having trouble getting through, this is a great tool for lighting up the night, lighting up the day, clearing that zone. Now be warned, that starter kit that you're receiving, I've got some fuel in there for you. I've got some different components. You can start searching the world for gasoline and accelerants. I've got a full README that's coming with release notes, so make sure to read that README in the changelog. But the idea here is that you have to search the world to make this flamethrower better. So you start out with this broken flamethrower with the intent that you'll actually be able to go in here and repair your broken flamethrower. Now, what does that require? That requires some very basic elements that you find in the world, along with a new type of craftable that you'll find in the world, gasoline. So I've added gasoline containers to the world, some empty, some with some gas in them. And the idea here is that as you find them in the world, you're going to start with these future updates. You're going to have to start to make the decision, do you use the gasoline in quests or to help out the survivors in the different groups in the world, or do you use it for your weapons? And so this is a good example of where you'll need to use that gasoline to upgrade your weaponry. I've started the tiers out pretty low here so that you can continue to improve without needing to search too hard, because I want everybody to enjoy the new content. You know, we actually start to enjoy this. Please give me your feedback here in the future. I do want to try to shape this around the community, so I do need your feedback. It's probably not a perfect system yet, but it will get there. So with this, you'll also have the new ability to create fuel. You'll either find gasoline, which will create 100 fuel, or you'll find accelerants. And 5 of those will create 50 fuel. And so the idea here is that you'll continue to provide fuel for your broken flamethrower. If you're a Patreon supporter, then you'll get different versions of these flamethrowers than the regular ones that are received for everybody else. That's to say thank you to all the Patreon supporters. Thank you. And so the idea here is that as you're starting to explore the world, as you're starting to take back the world, you'll continue to upgrade that flamethrower. So let's go ahead and head down into the city. So I've also taken care of that blob zombie. That's what we've been calling it. So there's been a zombie in here that's been showing up. That's basically an LOD zombie that's off in the distance. I finally found him. He's been disabled. So you should get the best form of the world to date, and so I'm continuing to iron out bugs. There are still a few bugs here and there. I noticed some behavioral things with like the Banshee. With the updates, the Banshee's acting a little weird, but the rest of the special infected seem to be behaving normally and seem to be enjoying that world and making the world more difficult. Got this volatile down below us. So one of the things I balanced out here was also going through and trying to make noise and visuals more realistic inside the game. I know a couple of people mentioned that the sight and sound triggers for the enemy were just too high, too sensitive. So I've been going through and trying to make those nights and days feel more realistic, more rewarding. And part of that is trying to prepare for all this new content that's coming up. So this is a good example of using that basic broken flamethrower. I didn't expect a volatile to be right in front of me here, but so let's use this to get out of here. So there's a new type of enemy in this world, and as you can see, the city is booming with new infected. Nights are more dangerous. The world is getting a little bit better now that I'm working out some bugs. There were a couple of key bugs inside the system that were causing some points of failure. Now that those are being worked out, the world is only getting more dangerous, and so stay tuned. Please provide your feedback and let me know how you like that or don't like that. But I am continuing to try to make that world more interesting and more diverse. And so you're going to end up with a lot of diversity as you're crawling through the world. So one of the things that will continue to evolve as well is that interiors now contain the potential for having hives. So if you go inside a certain building, you could run into an actual volatile hive. I have also split up the map to where the map is using actual zones now, or regions, and I'm trying to make that more realistic to kind of continue to dial that in. So as you're going through the world, you'll continue to see different elements and different things that are unique to the different zones, and that is by design, and I'm hoping that you guys enjoy those updates. So currently we're on the Ultimate Survivor difficulty, as you can see by more runners. The Survivor difficulty has a good mix now of runners and walkers, and again, keep giving your feedback there. If you continue to upgrade this weapon, so let's go back to the flamethrower. So as you continue to upgrade your weapon, you will next get to the damaged flamethrower. So if you repair your flamethrower from broken status, the next one you'll get is the damaged flamethrower. The damaged flamethrower is less kick, able to put out more fire. I will let you know that there's currently a bug inside the game to where it's like if you move, it messes up the effects. So as you start to jump around the city, you will sometimes get this effect where the flame will no longer work. I apologize, I'm continuing to look into why that is happening, and you can see here. So that does start to turn off. The easy fix for that is to switch off the weapon and switch back to it. Again, I apologize, I'm continuing to look for a fix there. But the idea here is that this next upgraded flamethrower, once you've found enough components to upgrade, is even better. It will allow you to have better condition, it's less likely to break, and it will allow you to hold more ammo. So as you're traveling through the world and you need to put down some cover fire, it's also able to fire much faster. And so if you need a quick getaway, or if you want to light up an interior, this is a great tool for getting the world's kind of tamed, if you will, with a flamethrower. I've also gone through and broken apart the different visuals, so I know that this is maybe an older update that came with an earlier version, but I'll go ahead and mention this here for anyone who has not heard it yet. So when I first released the Diverse Z's update, which will be coming shortly as its own standalone mod, I went ahead and included a lot of those visuals as the base zombie. So if you saw the base zombie, you saw a lot of the new models. The idea behind this was to very quickly move between what was working and what was not, so that you guys could give your feedback on the different models. Now, and again, thank you guys for that feedback. Now that the models have been updated and a lot more have been added, and then some have also been removed that were buggy, I've continued to go in there and refine some of these. And part of that is going in there and making each one have its own unique loot. So based on visuals, kind of a Walking Dead kind of approach, if you see a zombie who looks like a renegade, that zombie will drop renegade gear. If you see one that looks like a PK, he will drop PK gear. Previously it was kind of a just common mix, but now I'm actually going in and specifying based on visuals. This is what you should get based on the zombie's appearance. And the idea behind that is, let's try to make that loot more interesting, more diverse, so that we can start to identify where those different unique items that I'll be creating in the future are, so that you can continue to collect and get that loot. So I noticed there is a hive in here. I'm probably gonna die. Let's actually step this up because it looks like I'm getting more and more zombies. So the next step is the flamethrower. I didn't get a chance to fire. The next step after you've done the broken flamethrower, same thing. You'll have a crafting element or a crafting recipe that will allow you to repair that broken flamethrower and turn it into a full-blown flamethrower. So if I can show you here, the next one is going to be repair damage flamethrower, and that will actually turn it into a regular flamethrower so you can start using it in this capacity. So the regular flamethrower is kind of the go-to flamethrower. It kicks out much more powerful fuel. Its fire rate is much higher. Personally, I loved working on trying to get these effects to kind of match the power of the different ones. So as you go through and you're using the different versions, they do actually change their visuals. So the flames are a little bit smaller, more gas kick out on the broken version. As you move up to the damage version, it starts to kick out more. It's putting out more actual smoke. And then as you're moving up to the flamethrower, it's actually putting out pure fire. So once you've upgraded your broken flamethrower to the flamethrower, there's one more step that you can do here. You can go in and take your flamethrower into the perfected status, which allows you to continue to mod the weapon and also reduce some of the negative attributes of the flamethrower. So one of the things to be warned of with the flamethrower is that you can very easily accidentally set your friends on fire. You can also very easily set the PK on fire, the survivors, the different groups around the world, and this is kind of by design. So as you're using the broken flamethrower, there's a very high chance that it will actually kick, and when it kicks, there's a high chance that it will accidentally spout flames towards your allies. And so if you're using that flamethrower in an area that is that friendlies are known to be, you do have that potential of accidentally setting them on fire and thus causing that entire zone to hate you and try to hunt you down. So just be aware of that as you're traveling through the world. So also with the flamethrower, it's starting to narrow down, and then when you perfect it, it has less likely chance to kick those flames out and strike your allies to the side. So where you're aiming is kind of where it will start to kick that fuel, and you can see here you can actually aim down the scope here and actually continue to kick out that fury downrange. So you will notice that each one of these can also aim, so you are able to aim with this device, and you are able to kind of focus in with this flamethrower as you're going as well. So the perfected flamethrower is the final stage for the flamethrower. Unless you are a Patreon supporter, then you get the world burner flamethrower, which is the set everything on fire flamethrower. Has much higher damage, and that's another thing with each one of these. The tiers will continue to increase for the damage, and they will continue to get better as you go. And so as you are getting these better flamethrowers, you'll continue to be able to light the world up and do more damage. Alright, moving on to some of the other tools added to the game. So in addition to the flamethrowers, I also didn't stop there. We have a couple of new tools that are great in a tough spot. So you have the new fire bomb and the new fuel bomb. So the difference here is that the fire bomb is using accelerants versus the fuel bomb is using gasoline. So what that means is that the accelerant bomb is meant more to spread fire than it is to actually do damage. And so this one is great. It still does a ton of damage, but it's more about area effect and actually causing more of a burning effect in a large area. It is considered a very nice to have a grenade, and it will also burn a lot longer. So if you are trying to move throughout the world and you need to block off an environment, you can use this grenade as a way to stop the enemy from advancing. So kind of halt them in their tracks, and they won't be able to continue forward. So it's great if you want to try to set the playing field. So say, for example, a lot of people have reported that when they're fighting anomalies, that sometimes enemies will wander into this area. So that's the reason I'm in this area. So for example, you could actually put out some fuel bombs around the range as well to kind of cover your attack. So if you want to make sure that those zombies can't enter the area, you can go ahead and put out some fuel and stop their advance. So we'll go ahead and put out a couple of additional. So this will be great for when you're fighting and you need some coverage in this area. Additionally, we have the actual fuel bomb, which I think I accidentally just threw out. So the fuel bomb does much more damage in an area, so it will burn for longer, and it will also do a lot of damage. And so this is kind of a top tier bomb, if you will, and it is more difficult to create, and it is something that I'm continuing to balance. So please give me your feedback, let me know your experience. If it's too OP, that's great, we'll turn it down. If it's not OP enough, let me know. And then I'm also looking into doing different tiers of these grenades and different weapons as I get your feedback. So if you have input, please give it. The Discord channel is great for that. The Nexus is okay. It's a little bit harder to do things with bug reports on the Nexus. If you have a bug report, please jump onto the Discord. That way I can ask for a bug log. I can ask for different elements that will allow me to move much faster in fixing the issue. So in addition, one of the things I'll also talk about is we also have some of the newer things here. We have the upcoming base building update, which will allow us to go into the world and actually produce different structures and different support elements. And that will allow you to move throughout the world and establish bases. And then also one of the things I will mention here is that for everyone who is a Patreon supporter, there is also the craftable fuel bundle down at the bottom. This will allow you to actually get some of the things used for crafting the different things for the flamethrowers. So if you just want to experiment with getting that gasoline and the different resources needed for making the different components, you can go ahead and access that there. I have not moved the empty bottle into the Molotov yet, but I am looking at recreating the Molotov as well, using accelerant, empty bottles, fuel, that kind of thing. I'm continuing to look at it because I don't want to change too much how people are doing vanilla play, and so I may come up with my own version of the Molotov cocktail that uses the accelerant and these new components, so that way you can have both. They'll each have their own special attributes, and kind of the idea here is that mine are used for more strategic purposes of blocking off pathways and that kind of thing, versus the Molotov inside the game is currently for damage and however you're upgrading it. So if we want to go over and look at fuel, we can add more fuel because, again, dev status, I've got lots of fuel, so I don't actually need that. But continuing to look at crafting those different bombs. So we do have the ability to now craft the fuel bomb and the fire bomb. These can currently be found at traders around the world. So as you're moving around the world, keep an eye out for these two crafting blueprints, and you'll be able to craft those as well. I've also added the ability to find this accelerant and this gasoline inside the world. So as you're moving throughout the world, make sure to keep an eye out. You'll probably start to see a couple of these guys as you're moving through the world. So we've actually got gas tanks that will be out inside the world. Please let me know if these are having clipping issues or any problems. I've tried to place these in the world to where they won't have some of the issues that people were reporting with refrigerators and other things with the food loot, which the survivor options are coming soon. But for now, just please keep me posted on how it goes with these new gasoline tanks. And then also, I will also mention, because here's a great example, we do have a new enemy inside the world as well that was released a little bit ago. I believe this is actually one of them, which is the enraged crawler. So previously the crawlers would just kind of sit there and not do much. These will actually move towards you and try to reach you. The enraged crawlers are a little bit more difficult to kill because it's harder to get a good angle on them. And so they'll pretty much have the upper hand as far as attacking you. And so stopping them is the best thing that you can do as they're moving towards you. And then you also have an armored version of this crawler as well. Makes it a little bit more difficult to kill, but something that you'll have to contend with. Now, for the interiors, one of the ideas for this crawler is that with the interiors, you can do takedowns for the different zombies, but with a crawler, there is no takedown. So if you see crawlers inside the interiors, just know they will see you and they will scream, and it'll wake everybody up, and there won't be much that you can do about it other than stomp on them. So continue to look for ways to strategically take them out, but just know that those will make it a little bit more difficult when you're going through those interiors. So speaking of interiors, one of the things I wanted to continue to talk about is this upcoming release of the base building content. So there's been a lot of research on this side for getting this base building content into the world and allowing it to stick. I'm continuing to research kind of how the devs originally set up these objects inside the world to allow them, or allow us to have base building content. Currently, to my knowledge, we are only able to set up temporary bases inside the world that will have to get or that will get torn down after you leave the game. So currently, if you wanted to go and set up shop at one of these unique locations and you wanted to be able to kind of call it home temporarily for your playthrough, you can absolutely do that. So as you start to find areas that you really enjoy, unique locations, you can use this content to try to create a go-to location for you to return to during your playthrough. Now, I will mention that this is still currently Patreon content only because I haven't had as much time to actually create the content that I want to create and the systems that I want to build for releasing this content into the public. So currently it is just able to be loaded in automatically for everyone that is a Patreon supporter, and that's by design. So that way there are more narrative elements, there are more traders coming and that kind of thing to allow that feature to release, but those are still in the works. So continue to work with me and give me your feedback, and that content will be coming out shortly. So the idea here is that as we start to clear an area, if you are a Patreon supporter, so speaking specifically to Patreon supporters right now, as you start to clear out these bases and you want to take over an area, As you're going through, try to lay down some UV lamps as well. These will prevent the enemy from respawning, the same as a safe zone will. A safe zone will cover a much larger area, but the idea is that we can kind of create fallback locations by using the UV lamp. So as we're continuing to move through these dark zones or the spaces, you can lay down those UV lamps to continue to cover your exit. And using that flamethrower is a great way to start to clear out these buildings and work your way through. After you've cleared out the building, you should be able to set down a actual safe zone, an all-in-one safe zone. That will allow you to sleep currently. I'm still working on the ability for you to be able to truly respawn at that location. It does seem like some of that stuff was hard-coded into the game and not really meant to be mobile yet, and so I'm continuing to look into some solutions for that to see how we can better set up that ability to respawn. So currently you can use it kind of as a mobile base with a mobile stash as an operations center, and then once you move on to a new spot, that will get torn down when you start a new playthrough when you exit the game. Apologize. I hate that there's that movement bug. I'm going to continue to look into that. I just really wanted to get this content out to you guys before nitpicking over that one specific feature, but that content update will be coming shortly. We're just going to drive him out. Alright, you stay over there now. Additionally, you can find, if I haven't mentioned it previously, you can find fuel at traders and hidden throughout the worlds. Gas tank biters and the new gas tank virals are the best place to find fuel on top of the different traders. It is kind of a unique drop, and so you will rarely find them at traders, but it is possible. And I did quickly set that up. So again, with all of these new features, I'm looking for your guys' feedback. It is not a perfect solution by any means, but happy to continue to refine and update as we continue to find issues. So let's go ahead and set up one to just cover this area. So I think we have a pretty good area here. And I think one of my favorite things is with this new icon is you can, or not with this new icon, but with the UV icon, you can kind of start to see where there's coverage and where there's not. As some of you have pointed out, there's a bug inside of some of the bases where you're not actually covered by UV. That is by design because they were originally using kind of a blanket coverage of the UV or the safe zone in the base game. I'm upgrading some of that to where it will be very specifically placed UV lamps in the future, and because of that, you will have to go into some of those areas and actually provide that light source. We won't actually add one in here because it looks like we have pretty good coverage, but you can see here that we actually have some decent coverage as we move throughout this base. So this is going to be kind of a temporary base of operations. It's not a great location, but it is something that we could very quickly set up. And I'm still looking at ways that maybe I can set up like a token system or something else to where if you purchase the ability to place one of these UV lamps or some of this content, because it does currently disappear, I'm looking at ways I can go in there and say, okay, well, I made the purchase before. Is there a way that that's now easily accessible again? So when I load into my next playthrough, I'm not having to purchase over and over and over again. I want to be able to allow you guys to have that content and that content stick. It's not currently available, but it's something I'm continuing to look at so that in the future you can actually build a base and that base will stick and you guys can enjoy that for the foreseeable future. So let's go ahead and drop this here. And so we now have our little temporary base. We're going to go ahead and wait till tonight. And you can see here that this will clear out this base area. So we no longer have zombies spawning inside this area. this is now your base and it is cleared out. And so for the foreseeable future, this area, or at least not the foreseeable future, but until you quit the game and load again, this area will now be considered UV lamps or UV safe zone, and you can retreat to this location here in the future. So the idea here and the hope for future updates, and again, I'm hoping to figure this out before I actually release to the public, is how I can go in there and actually set this up to where it would allow you to secure this area, and then from then on out, it would actually allow you to continue to build around this area and secure each dark zone. So you could actually go building by building and wipe out the different infected and then clear the building, so to speak, and that would allow survivors to move in or allow them to take back the city. And so upcoming development, continuing to research, and I look forward to sharing that progress with you guys here shortly. So that was really all I wanted to show for now. There's a lot of new content coming, continuing to refine some of the content that's currently in the game. I am really excited to hear you guys' feedback and continue to look forward to hearing what you guys think of the mod. Please don't hesitate to give me your feedback. Your feedback drives this mod. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Again, sorry for the long video, but a lot of new content, a lot of things to talk about. Looking forward to the discussion. Take care, everyone. Happy gaming.